This is Live Bet Saturday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Back here on the Live Bet Saturday. I'm Scott Seidenberg with you here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. You can hit me up on Twitter at ScottsOnAir, ScottsOnair. We have my favorite MLB trends or betting systems coming up a little bit later on this hour, and that will also lead us into some best bets for tomorrow's slate of Major League Baseball games. We have bets that we are tracking right now in Major League Baseball. We have cashed that first 5 innings with the Milwaukee Brewers. They have a 3-0 lead over the Diamondbacks in the top of the 7th inning. We have the Padres team total to go over 4.5 runs. It is 2-0 Padres going to the bottom of the 6th inning. Now, one of the risks that you have when you bet a team total here with the home team is that we're not guaranteed the 9th inning. So we're going to the bottom of the 6th. We only got the 6th, 7th, and 8th guaranteed to get us 3 runs to cash the over 4.5. We also have the over 4.5 for the Dodgers against the Cubs, and they're in the top of the 4th inning right now. Cubs with a 1-0 lead over the Dodgers. So hoping that the Dodgers can put something together, get some runs across there in the bottom of the 4th or moving forward. We are at the end of the 1st inning in Seattle, and the Rangers have a 1-0 lead over the Mariners. Yes, the Rangers scoring 1 run in the top of the 1st inning as they strung together 3 hits in that 1st inning. So we have the bet on the under 24 hits plus runs plus errors. Right now we're at 20 already after 1 inning, so that's not a good start. 3 hits and 1 run already in this game. The game total was at 7, and now because there has already been a run scored, we are up to 7.5 on the live line for this game. So I did lean towards the under to start the game, hoping that it trends that way towards the under. If one of these pitchers can throw a gem, that would be great, as we want to limit the amount of hits. Now the runs, if the runs get to 7 or 8, we'll be okay as long as there is not not a bunch of hits that are going to come, in this game to get to these runs. Like I said, we're on the. I also recommend this bet. It's a good way if you like an under, but you're a little iffy, like you don't want to do it under 7 or under 7.5. Take a look at the hits, runs, errors prop, because you can get the under, and it's like a secondary way of betting the under 7 for me. Is I'm going under 24 hits plus runs plus errors. And as I mentioned, so far, after the 1st inning, we're at 4. I don't like that start because it is 3 hits for the Rangers with 1 run scored already. Thankfully, the Mariners did not get a hit in the 1st inning. There is an out. Fernando Tatis has struck out swinging, so the Padres still have a 2-0 lead over the Rockies. 1 out, though, in the bottom of the 6th inning. Would love some runs here for the Padres and the Dodgers. It's the top of the 4th inning, and Roki Sasaki on the mound. He's given up 1 run already. The Cubs with a 1-0 lead over the Dodgers, top of the 4th inning. On the ice, let's take a look if the games have started. Well, the night games are about to get underway. Blues and Kraken from Seattle. The Knights here in Vegas hosting the Predators, and the Canucks hosting the Minnesota Wild. We're on all 3 favorites. We're on all 3 favorites in this night slate. VGK against looking to lock up the number 1 seed, or at least looking to lock up the division and the home ice in the playoffs. They need the points, and Nashville's already been eliminated. Nashville coming here to Vegas, maybe a little bit of Vegas flu, but also Nashville's just one of the worst road teams in hockey. Only 10 regulation wins for Nashville on the road this year. Just a bad road team. Meanwhile, for Minnesota and for St. Louis, the theory on both of these teams is simple. Playing with postseason desperation. These teams need the wins. They are tied both at 93 points. They're the top 2 wild cards in the Western Conference. If they both win tonight, they'll keep it that way. But Minnesota, coming off an ugly loss last night in Calgary, has the Flames right on their heels at 90 points. And they have game in hand. So Minnesota desperately needs the win tonight. And St. Louis needs the win as well. So I'm going to go on both of these playoff teams to play with some desperation here in their game right now that is about to, both these games, all 3 of these games are about to get underway. Coming up in about 10 minutes or so from now, we're going to be joined by Sam Choudhury, a betting analyst from FTN Fantasy, and we're going to talk about the NBA. Tomorrow is the last day of the NBA regular season. There were no NBA games today on Saturday because the entire league, all 30 teams, will be playing coming up tomorrow. Now, not every game is on the board. In fact, there's only a limited number of games that are on the betting board right now. I'm looking up at DraftKings right now, and I see now more games are starting to be listed, so this is good because prior to before, there are a lot of games were off. In fact, I see now all the games are up. Okay, because I guess we're getting injury designations. Like earlier, we found out the Lakers are benching everybody. The Lakers, who have locked up the 3 seed. They're benching. LeBron's not playing. Luka's not playing. Austin Reeves is not playing. And Lakers are actually a 3-point dog as their game is going to be, Lakers are 3-point dogs in Portland. So a lot of players, a lot of teams resting players, not a lot to be played for in the Eastern Conference. I think we're pretty much status quo. If we look at the standings in the East, I think Chicago and Atlanta and Miami, I think they might be able to switch positions because they're all one game apart from each other. It would come down to tiebreakers to see what happens, but that would just be determining like play-in seed roles. Like they're all in the play-in tournament. It's just a matter of, well, if Atlanta can hold on to the 8, then they're going to have 2 chances to get into the playoffs, or if Chicago can sneak in there, and then it matters who's home. Right? If Miami can get past Chicago, then Miami could be home in that game as opposed to Chicago being home in that game. So that's the only thing that's on the line there in the East. In the West, this is huge. Minnesota and Golden State are playing to avoid the play-in tournament. And Minnesota's got the better matchup. Minnesota's a massive favorite. The Warriors are 2-point favorites over the Clippers. Minnesota's a 23-point favorite over the Jazz. Minnesota's going to win, and if the Warriors lose to the Clippers, Minnesota's going to be the 6 seed, and the Warriors are going to be the 7 and in the play-in round. That's a huge game. And Steph Curry, who had a little bit of an injury concern there, he's listed as questionable because he's got this little hand issue here. How much is he hurt? How much does this affect the Warriors going into this game against the Clippers? And the Clippers, meanwhile, talk about a team that I don't think anybody wants to face come postseason time. The Clippers are the 5 seed. There's a chance. Could they sneak up to the 4? Depending on what happens, unless Denver wins the tiebreakers here. But no, if Denver loses and LA wins, then LA becomes the 4, and Denver slips down to the 5. So there is a lot to play for. Denver, an 8-point favorite over the Rockets. And the Clippers, as I mentioned, take on the Warriors, and Warriors are -2. But we'll talk to Sam coming up in our next segment. We'll get his best bets as we try to navigate this final day of the NBA regular season coming up tomorrow. Once again, I'm Scott Seidenberg, always on Twitter at ScottsOnAir, ScottsOnair. Puck will drop momentarily as the 3 late hockey games will get underway. Right now in the third period, the Utah Hockey Club has a 4-3 lead over the Dallas Stars. Dallas, a team that is free-falling right now, which is crazy because the latest betting odds have the Dallas Stars as the favorite to win the Stanley Cup. The Dallas Stars are plus 650, the favorites to win the Cup. Yet Dallas has lost 4 straight games and is, if they don't come back in this one, will make it 5 straight losses. Now, I get it. They're kind of solidified in their playoff positioning. They're not gonna catch Winnipeg for sure. Winnipeg's already at 114. Dallas is at 106. They're not gonna catch Winnipeg. And Colorado's only got 1 game left. so Colorado can't catch Dallas for home ice advantage. But still, this is the favorite to win the Stanley Cup, and they're going to lose 5 straight games at the end of the season? Not pretty. But again, they're locked into the 2 seed. They will have home ice when they take on Colorado in the first round of the playoffs. And I guess it's matchup dependent, but the West is so deep. Now, I listen, I get it. I love Dallas earlier in the year. When they acquired Mikko Rantanen, I have 2 NHL futures on teams to win the Cup. My first one was Winnipeg. I bet the Jets to win the Stanley Cup. And then once the Stars acquired Mikko Rantanen, I bet the Stars to win the Cup. And I thought that he was going to be the difference maker. I don't like what I see from this Dallas Stars team losing 4 straight games. Tonight can make it 5 straight games. And then, let's see, who they end the season with. Last game of the season, last 2 games at Detroit, at Nashville. It seems like they are mailing it in prior to the playoffs. That's fine if you're going to be able to flip the switch once the playoffs start. But I'd certainly like my team to be playing some good hockey at the end of the year, getting energized and excited for the Stanley Cup playoffs, not limping in, backing in, and feeling bad about ourselves because we've lost 5, 6 straight games. Something to monitor here for the Stanley Cup favorites, the Dallas Stars. Once again, we are going to be joined by Sam Choudhury from FTN Network coming up next as we talk NBA. Final game of the regular season is tomorrow. I'm Scott Seidenberg. It's Live Bet Saturday right here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Live Bet Saturday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
We got an early goal in Vancouver. Good for the over, bad for the Wild as Vancouver scores first. 1-0 Canucks over the Minnesota Wild. Your adjusted total right now is at 6.5. Still on the Wild, still on the over, and we'll see how this plays out, but not a great start for Minnesota, playing with a little bit of playoff desperation right now. No score in the other 2 late games. Utah has added another goal. They're up 5-3 on Dallas. This might be a time, by the way, looking at a live bet, to get in on Minnesota. You can get them at plus 145 right now. And just because they're down 1, you're going to see a team playing with a lot of desperation for the remainder of this game. This would be a good live bet opportunity to get a team that was a favorite to start the game, playing with the playoff desperation, and now down early 1-0. I could see them jumping right back and getting right back into this game. So I would take a shot at Minnesota on the live line at plus 140. Well, speaking of playoff desperation, tomorrow is the final game of the NBA regular season. There's no games here on Saturday because all 30 teams will be in action tomorrow. Joining us to break it down and provide some insight is Sam Choudhury, betting analyst for FTN Network, and he joins us on the Progressive guest line. Sam, thanks so much for giving us a couple of minutes of your time here as we prepare for what's going to be a pretty wild day on Sunday in the NBA. How do you juggle handicapping these games or maybe player props from, when you think about the teams that are going to be resting guys, when you think about the teams that might have nothing to play for versus teams that are trying to improve their seeding? Like, how difficult is this for you to handicap tomorrow's slate?
Yeah, I'd probably say that this is probably the most difficult slate of the season. You mentioned, I think, number one, the priority is figuring out which teams are actually playing for something. I've been refreshing all these different sites, trying to look for props, and there's only a handful available out there. So as soon as they come out, the nice thing is throughout the day, we've sort of seen more and more information trickling in with starters already getting ruled out. So that already gives me a head start in my process. But yeah, I think even just yesterday is a big part of my process, is looking at a lot of the teams that didn't have anything to play for, looking at the rotations. And we don't have a huge sample of entire lineups getting ruled out. Again, like I said, besides yesterday. So Number one, I definitely want to fade the starters that aren't playing for anything and are active. We've seen players like Jalen Green. He has that Iron Man streak going. So I expect, for example, him to be active, but Houston has nothing to play for. So if anything, the last 2 games, he's played 15 minutes, checks back out. So if we do get lines on some of these starters that don't have anything to play for, I definitely want to slam some unders on those. But besides that, I really want to focus on the games that do matter, and even the props and lines I sent you today it's probably the most important game of the slate with the Clippers and Warriors.
Yeah, certainly Golden State, who is probably going to, if let's just be honest, they're going to be in the playing round. I know that they would certainly love to stay ahead with a win here, but like Minnesota's got a cakewalk of a game in their final game, right? And so they're going to improve to 49-33. And if Golden State loses to the Clippers, which they could, they're going to be in the play-in round. Now, this line is kind of juggled back and forth. I think it has a lot to do with the Steph Curry hand injury, Sam. But right now, I'm seeing Warriors at -2 up on DK. What's your feel for this game? Does the Curry injury concern you a lot?
Yeah, definitely. Actually, this morning when I said my plays, I grabbed the Clippers at 4.5, which I thought was kind of weird because that 4.5 line really seemed like they weren't really paying attention to the Steph Curry injury. But even besides the fact, you look at this Clippers team, I mean, I'd say they're probably my favorite dark horse to come out of the West.
Yeah.
You look at them, they've won 14 of their last 16 games, including 7 in a row. And we just don't have a huge sample of this entire starting 5 all healthy, with all of Kawhi Leonard, James Harden, Zubac, Norman Powell. And I'd say in a series, I'd probably say the Thunder are probably the only team I'd definitively take over the Clippers in a 7-game series. But other than that, I think the Clippers can hang with anyone. And the Warriors, they had a red hot start as soon as they traded for Jimmy Butler. But we did see a lot of that was a function of the opponents that they were facing. Over the last 4 games, an even 2-2, they had that ugly loss against San Antonio. And I don't want to pay too much attention to one game there, but I do think there are some flaws with the Warriors. I do think they did lose a lot of depth in that Jimmy Butler trade, and I think we are seeing in the last handful of games. But I mean, maybe the Warriors, maybe this is a time for them that they don't want to push Stephen Curry. Maybe they think it's okay if they have to go to the play-in round as long as their roster is at full strength. So, yeah, I definitely think, like you said, I think the Clippers can win this game outright. So just getting points, I think I do like back in the Clippers here.
And let's face it, if the Warriors are the 6, not only will they be the home team, but they also have 2 chances to get in. So if they somehow lose the first one, then they'll be playing against the winner of Sacramento and Dallas, which I think that they can handle either of those teams to get into the postseason. So yeah, maybe a play on the Clippers here is the way to go. Talking to Sam Choudhury from FTN Network, I'm Scott Seidenberg. This is Live Bet Saturday here on VSiN, the sports betting network. Elsewhere, if you look at this schedule, like we talk about a lot of players that are missing the games. Lakers benching everybody. No LeBron, no Luka, no Austin Reeves, no reason for them to even come out here and play in this game as they have things locked up. Portland's a 3-point favorite. Like, is it as simple as just betting Portland as a 3-point favorite in this one? Can you hold your nose and make that bet, knowing that the Lakers will be sending out Bronny and the G League team out there?
I think so. I would like to see Denny Avdia and Anthony Simons play, but as long as they got Shaedon Sharpe active, obviously Donovan Clingan is probably going to be active. He's not on the report. So I think that's enough for me to take Portland here. But yeah, if we do see either one of Avdia or Simons get ruled in, I think that line is just going to move more in Portland's favor. So I think if you do want to back Portland, now would be the time to grab them, because that line does feel like it's sort of baking in 2 of their 5 starters being ruled out. So I don't really know what's going on with Simons. I mean, he's been out for a while, and he's constantly been questionable, labeled the game time decision, just doesn't play. Avdia doesn't seem as serious. I do think that he will play, but I think even if they both get ruled out, I still do feel pretty comfortable with Portland. So yeah, I'd probably say if you want to back them, now would be the time to jump on it.
Are favorites the way that you would lean for the most part on this final day of the season?
Yeah, I mean, there's no dogs that really stand out. The Sacramento and Mavs, that was kind of interesting to me. I didn't know how Dallas was going to play it, if they cared about moving up or not, but they did rule out their entire starting lineup. So we're getting more clarity there. The one thing that's kind of confusing to me is the Orlando and Atlanta game, because both of Franz and Banchero just got labeled as questionable. I assume that they wouldn't play just because the entire East is pretty much locked up.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's one game that could flip based on when we get definitive news. And even if you do get sort of those situations, if Wagner and Banchero do get ruled in, I think looking at the first half spread would be uh, pretty critical there, just because we might see them just play the first half. Same goes to the Knicks. I have no idea what they're doing. I mean, they just never rest guys. So if they have their entire starting lineup ruled in, maybe that's another one where you can back the Knicks on the first half spread. But I really do want to stay away from spread for the most part, just because I have no idea how much these guys are going to play. So, yeah.
Would you lean towards the overs in terms of the totals with the games that are involving, you know, the backups to the backups to the backups that are playing? Because we know usually, like late in games and blowout games when teams empty the bench, those guys shoot. Right? It's their time to shine. They don't get a lot of playing time, so they chuck up the threes. The scores usually tend to go over when it's a blowout and the backups come in. Do you think that's the case here in the final day of the season, or do you think teams have already have their golf trips planned out?
Yeah, I mean, I guess sort of both. I would say I would lean over, but a lot of that is baked into the price. You know, for example, like Boston, you don't get these sort of numbers if they had their starting lineup. So I don't see a massive edge in that. It is a good thought. I would lean over. I would rather side with the over, just because we don't see a lot of defense with the bench, and these guys are just chucking it, but a lot of it is priced in. So for the most part, I haven't seen a total that really jumps out.
Well, Sam, appreciate the time. I know it's going to be a difficult day to handle tomorrow, but hopefully we can find some edges on the betting board. And I know that you like the Clippers as one of your best bets there. So good luck with that tomorrow.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
There he is, Sam Choudhury, FTN Network, joining us here on Live Bet Saturday. It is extremely difficult. It really is. You don't know who exactly is playing for these teams and how much they're playing. What is the motivation? Is it all hands in the middle, 1, 2, 3 Cancun? Or is it, hey, let's end the season on a high note. Let's put up a bunch of points. Let's, let our bench players score and have some fun out there. So it's all to be determined once the NBA gets their final day underway tomorrow. We'll update you on the NHL and MLB scores coming up next. I'm Scott Seidenberg right here on Live Bet Saturday here on VSiN.
This is Live Bet Saturday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Back here on Live Bet Saturday, I'm Scott Seidenberg here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. The main event is underway. Well, the main card, I should say, is underway. UFC 314 from Miami. And the first fight is a knockout in the first round for Dominic Reyes as a short underdog against Nikita Krylov. Dominic Reyes with the first round knockout, 224 into the first round. That is your first fight of the main card, and it goes to the dog in a knockout. Still coming up next, Gene Silva against Bryce Mitchell, with Silva a minus 200 favorite. Taking a look at the scores in progress right now, boy, I could not have been more wrong by taking the St. Louis-Seattle over. I don't think either of these teams have any interest in playing this game. Like, this is... I regret this. This is like the biggest regret bet that I think I've had. There's been, we finally got another one. There's been 4 shots on goal in the whole first period. St. Louis, a team playing with a little bit of playoff desperation, I thought, only 1 shot on goal with 5 minutes left in the first period. Meanwhile, Minnesota trails Vancouver 1-0. I just did place a live bet on Minnesota at plus 148. I like what I'm seeing. I'm watching it out of the corner of my eye. I'm seeing a team that is playing like they got a fire lit under them. After allowing that first goal, they look like a team possessed right now. Absolutely look like a team possessed. So we'll see what happens here. It looks like the Wild are actually going to take a penalty, so that's not good. But anyway, Predators have a 1-0 lead over the Golden Knights in the first period. VGK on the live market, still a minus 135 favorite. Live line on Minnesota right now. Minnesota up to plus 154. Vancouver minus 200. And St. Louis minus 154 on the live line with a live total of 4.5. So not looking good for my over 5.5, but let's let Seattle win and see what happens here. Major League Baseball, my team totals look absolutely smoked as the Padres have just 2 runs against the Rockies, a 2-0 lead over the Rockies in the top of the 8th inning. This would have been a game to bet the under 24 in the, hits plus runs plus errors, because the Rockies have only 1 hit through 7 innings. The Padres have 3 hits through 7 innings. Padres with a 2-0 lead over the Rockies, top of the 8th inning in San Diego. Cubs, meanwhile, holding on to a 1-0 lead over the Dodgers, top of the 6th inning there in L.A. as the Cubs have a runner on second with nobody out. So looking to add some runs. Sasaki is out of the game for the Dodgers. And it's the bottom of the 3rd. The Mariners have taken the lead over the Rangers. They lead 2-1. And again, this is not looking good for the under 7, which I didn't even like, but also the under in the hits plus runs plus errors of 24. We've already had 5 hits for the Rangers, 3 hits for the Mariners. That's 8 combined. 2 runs for the Mariners. We're at 10. 1 run for the Rangers. We're at 11 already. And it's only the 3rd inning. I got a feeling this one's a loser. And it's going to go over. It'll go over the 24. We'll see if it goes over the 7. But we're going to have more hits and more runs in this game. I was feeling it, when I saw this line earlier today at 6.5, it's something that I said to myself, these games in Major League Baseball that are 6.5, we're 7-2 to the over. I know it's like, okay, low scoring games, low scoring team, low scoring ballpark. It's becoming very difficult to bet unders when it comes to these low totals. The book is over adjusting to some of these teams, in my opinion. And 6.5 is just too low in Major League Baseball. Now, sure, you get games every now and then that go under. Like, yes, we've had 2 of those games go under. Look at this. Padres and Rockies. This is a 2-0 game in the 8th inning. Brewers and Diamondbacks is 4-0 in the 9th. So, yeah, we do have a lot of under games. But when a game is lined at 6.5, when I see that it's 7-2 to the over, even the games, even some of those results are like 7-0, and it goes over 6.5. So it just feels like it's better to play the over in those games than the under. But it's only the 3rd inning. We'll see what happens here between the Rangers and the Mariners. Seattle these are still 2 of the lowest scoring teams in all of Major League Baseball. And, it's a very pitcher-friendly ballpark. The Rockies do have a runner on in the top of the 8th inning. And really the only thing I think that could save me here, obviously, the Padres can score 3 runs in the bottom of the 8th inning, and that would be great, and they would hit the team total. But I wouldn't mind the Rockies to score here. Make sure the Padres not just get the 8th inning, but also get the bottom of the 9th inning to hit. And extra innings is always our friend because we get the ghost runner and an opportunity to score some more runs. It was the Minnesota Wild that were on the power play, not Vancouver. So Minnesota on the power play, down 1-0, seeing if they can even things up here against the Vancouver Canucks. Still 1-0 Predators over the Golden Knights with 5 minutes to go in the first period and under 5 to go in the first period. No score between the Blues and the Kraken. And just based off the box score, looking at the shots on goal, doesn't seem like anybody wants to score a goal in that game. I got some baseball trends that I've been tracking here throughout the season, and some of them will translate into best bets coming up for tomorrow's slate. In fact, we got, our golf bets on the Masters final round coming up tomorrow, but also in Major League Baseball. One of the things that I've been tracking this year, and I've been doing it for several years, is teams looking to avoid the sweep. Now, this is a great profitable trend that you can look at for years. Specifically, like last year, if all you bet was teams looking to avoid a 3-game sweep, you were 156 and 135 with a profit of $3,436. Plus 3,436. Just betting on teams to avoid a 3-game sweep. Now, this year, numbers haven't been as great. It is 13-12 on the year, but you're still profitable. You're up $179. And we have a couple of teams that fit the mold for Sunday. The Boston Red Sox, who will look to avoid the sweep at the hands of the Chicago White Sox. Yeah, that's right. The White Sox could sweep the Red Sox. It's Garrett Crochet on the mound for Boston. They're going to be massive favorites in this game, north of minus 250 favorites with Crochet against his former team in a ballpark and on a mound that he's comfortable with. I like that. I like that a lot. You got the Pirates that will be looking to avoid the sweep as they fell to the Reds once again here on Saturday. You'll have the Twins looking to avoid the sweep. They lost also here on Saturday. The Twins lost to the Tigers 4-0. And the Royals will be looking to avoid the sweep at the hands of the Cleveland Guardians. Now, you also have games tonight that, it could pending. Like if the Brewers win against the Diamondbacks, then Arizona is going to be looking to avoid the sweep. And that game's going to the bottom of the ninth right now with the Brewers winning 4-0. The Rockies could be looking to avoid the sweep should the Padres finish this game off here, and they're going to the bottom of the eighth with the Padres winning 2-0. The Mariners, if they win, then the Rangers will be looking to avoid the sweep tomorrow. And if the Dodgers come back and beat the Cubs, then the Cubs will be looking to avoid the sweep. So again, this season alone, if you just bet teams looking to avoid a 3-game sweep, 13-12 on the year, what's interesting about it is the home teams, 7-2 on the year. So I think that's interesting. The Diamondbacks would be a home team looking to avoid the sweep. The Twins are a home team looking to avoid the sweep. Those are two that I would actually lean towards more because that's the favorable subset here. Last season, home teams looking to avoid the sweep, 76-55. That's a 58% clip that you're winning at. And those teams were plus $1,779. If you're looking to avoid a 4-game sweep, 1-1 this year. Last year, 22-15, plus $950. Also, what's interesting about 4-game series, and this is something to keep an eye on when we get to, if there's a wraparound series that ends on a Monday or a 4-game series that begins on a Monday and ends on a Thursday. The home teams this year, in Game 4 of a 4-game series, the home teams are an undefeated 9-0. And maybe there's something to it. Maybe the road teams are like, hey, we just spent 3 days in this city and we're ready to get the heck out. But just in general, forget about the sweep. Forget about if you win or lose. Just the home teams in general. In the final day of a 4-game series, the home teams are undefeated, 9-0 this year. That's crazy. I got more trends coming up, including Getaway Day. Oh, I love it. Getaway Day. And tomorrow, it's a getaway day. I'm Scott Seidenberg, always on Twitter at Scott's On Air. This is Live Bet Saturday right here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Live Bet Saturday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Scott Seidenberg back here with you. It's Live Bet Saturday here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, as our hockey bets don't look great at the end of the first period in these games. Right now, it is the end of the first period in Vegas. Here at the Fortress, the Predators lead the Knights 1-0. End of the first period up in Seattle. No score between the Blues and the Kraken. A total of 8 shots on goal in that game. I do like, though, maybe betting a second period to go over 1.5 goals. Someone's going to have to open up the scoring here in the second period between these two teams. Also, we have right now the Minnesota Wild, who I like the way they've been playing. I'm being honest. I did live bet them. They're still down 1-0, but every time I look over at the screen, they are forcing the issue here. Let's take a quick look at the box score because I'm curious to see. They got to be out shooting. Yes, they are. Out shooting Vancouver 11-5 right now. And every time I look over, they have the puck inside the Vancouver end. So I really love what I'm seeing here from Minnesota, certainly applying the pressure down 1-0 and looking to even up this game and secure their playoff spot. But likely they'll go into the first period intermission down 1-0. But we have already placed a live bet on Minnesota to come back and win. So live bet in the NHL number 1 is Minnesota to come back to win. Live bet NHL number 2 is the Seattle Kraken to end St. Louis to go over 1.5 goals in the second period. Scoreless first period. We're going to go over 1.5 goals for the second period. I did take a flyer on the Dodgers to come back and win live at a nice little plus money price here, down 2-0 going to the top of the 7th inning there between the Dodgers and the Cubs. The Cubs have the 4th worst bullpen ERA in all of Major League Baseball, and if there's any team that could come from behind and win a game, certainly it is the Los Angeles Dodgers. So we'll see if they can put some things together here against the Cubs bullpen. So we did place a live wager on that. Our team total for the Padres is dead. 2-0 Padres going to the top of the 9th inning. Although the Rockies do have a runner on first with nobody out in the top of the 9th inning. So if they could score some runs, make it a little bit interesting, something to keep an eye on. Maybe the Padres will have to bat in the bottom of the 9th and score some runs. So we'll monitor that as that progresses in this 9th inning. Elsewhere in the, let's see what inning we are in right now. We got the Diamondbacks, bottom of the 9th, putting together a little bit of a rally. This was a 4-0 game going to the bottom of the 9th inning. There's one out, and the Diamondbacks have already scored 3 runs and have the tying run on second base. Good thing for the Brewers scored 1 run in the top of the 9th inning to add some insurance. It was a William Contreras, double. So they added 1 run in the top of the 9th to go up 4-0. But to start the bottom of the 9th, Suarez grounded out, 1 out. Then we had Moreno walked, Thomas tripled, scoring Moreno. Hampson walked, Corbin Carroll then doubled, scoring 2 runs. And now we have Trevor McGill in the game who took over for Payamps. And so there's 1 out, bottom of the 9th inning. Diamondbacks already with 3 runs in here in the bottom of the 9th. And the tying run is on second base in Corbin Carroll. Meanwhile, the Rangers and Mariners, that 24 hits plus runs plus errors, done. We already are at 15. With 6 hits for the Rangers and 1 run, 4 hits for the Mariners and 4 runs. 4-1 Mariners going to the bottom of the 4th inning. All right, let's continue the baseball betting systems. I talked about the sweep avoidance and teams playing on the 4th game of a 4-game series at home. But another thing I like to look at is just getaway day. Now, what is getaway day? Well, getaway day is when you are playing an opponent and it's the last game of a series, and the next day, so there's no rest, the next day you are playing somewhere else, okay? You got to bounce. You got to go somewhere else. If you just played the home teams this year on getaway day, 13-5 plus $805. If your opponent has an away game the next day, you're 8-3 plus $485. And coming up here tomorrow, Cubs, Rockies, Mets, Tigers, Red Sox, Nationals, Royals, Braves, Giants, and Padres are all home on Monday. These are all teams that will be playing on Monday that are playing on Sunday on the road. Again, let's go through that list. The Cubs, Rockies, Mets, Tigers, Red Sox, Nationals, Royals, Braves, Giants, and Pirates are all playing on the road on Monday, and these teams will then be home teams coming up on Monday. So they're away, final game of the series, then they got to play the next day. They got to play the next day in a different location. If all you did was just fade these teams so far in the year, you're 13-5 plus $805. If you faded all these teams tomorrow, that would be the system. Although a couple of these teams do fall into the sweep avoidance. For instance, like the Red Sox to me are going to be a best bet. That is going to be one of my best bets. I'm going to give you a baseball best bet, and I'm going to give you a golf best bet. Best bets are brought to you by G-Bank, the official bank of VSiN. Red Sox are not going to get swept by the Chicago White Sox. They're just not. I know they've struggled to start the year, and the runs have been hard to come by for the Boston Red Sox. And this has not been a good series, frankly, playing in Chicago. And their one win that they got against the Blue Jays came in extra innings after losing the day before in extra innings. But that win came in the final game of the series when they were looking to avoid the sweep. Obviously, they seem to lock in when they're in this role trying to avoid a sweep. But this one means more because they've been embarrassed by one of the worst teams in Major League Baseball. And on the mound here on Sunday is the guy that you acquired from the White Sox, that you paid all the millions of dollars to, in Garrett Crochet. Garrett Crochet pitching in a stadium that he's familiar pitching in, on a mound that he's familiar pitching in, against a team that did not want to pay him. I think Garrett Crochet comes out here on a mission, and Garrett Crochet shuts down the White Sox. Red Sox minus a run and a half is minus 125. Best bet, number one. That's your best bet in Major League Baseball. G-Bank upping the ante with up to a $750 bonus for new G-Bank Visa Signature Card customers. First off, new customers who spend $1,000 on eligible purchases within 90 days from account opening will receive a $250 bonus. And in addition, if you spend $50,000 on gaming and sports app loads within the first 30 days of account opening, you're going to get another $500 bonus. Apply now at vsin.com/gbank. That's vsin.com/gbank. Subject to credit approval. Terms and conditions apply. The Arizona Diamondbacks have scored 5 runs in the bottom of the 9th inning to walk off and win over the Brewers 5-4. Imagine betting the Diamondbacks right before the 9th inning, down 4-0, going to the bottom of the 9th. Oh, boy, that is something. Meanwhile, the Cubs are adding runs here against the Dodgers, 4-0. The Cubs lead the Dodgers, top of the 7th inning. There is still nobody out in the top of the 7th, and the Cubs have runners on first and second. So looks like our Dodgers live bet might be smoked as well. And it is a final. The Padres have shut out the Rockies 2-0. So congratulations if you cashed with the Padres on the run line or the under in that game, as it was never a sweat. Despite 1 run being scored in the first inning, never a sweat. 2-0. Padres beat the Rockies. Bottom of the 4th inning, the Rangers and Mariners in action right now. Mariners have a 4-1 lead, bottom of the 4th inning, with a runner on and 1 out. This game's going to fly over the posted total of 7, I can tell you that much. We got a best bet in golf. We are holding on to our Rory McIlroy tickets to win. But something that we talked about earlier, the bet, you can go, MGM has it, other books have it as well. Look at your 4th round props. And the bet that I would make is Rory to shoot a 70 or below. Because if you like Rory to win, which we all do here, he's got to shoot 70 or below to win. He's minus 200 to win right now. Instead of betting minus 200 on Rory to win, this bet is at even money on him to shoot a 70 or below. Think about that. If he shoots a 71 or a 72, he could still win, but it's likely somebody catches up to him. Somebody's posting a score tomorrow. Rory's got to shoot at least 2 under par to win the Masters. So we like Rory to shoot 70 or below at even money. Stay tuned. Coming up next, it's Cashing Out with Greg Peterson. He'll take you through the remainder of the evening. And then tomorrow morning, the VSiN Weekend Morning Line. I'm Scott Seidenberg. This is Live Bet Saturday here on VSiN.